let's now go into different depictions of agency, and that is more a graphical thing. So here is the full complex picture of an agent in a complex environment, and the key, of course, is that the agent is able to maintain itself via its control over its interface with the environment. And this is visualized here in somewhat more concisely and more simple. Here we have the agency, which is the relationship with the external world. So the external world is now on the outside. The agent and the external world are separated. Now, of course, the agent is embedded. And the world offers so-called affordances. And what are affordances? It's basically action possibilities. And the agent has to discover these action possibilities via play or other ways. And action possibilities give the agent options. And the agent then has to select from all the options what it wants or needs to do, but it has to do so in a way that optimizes its viability and it maintains its viability. And so the question for the agent is always, is my viability improving or degrading? But at a certain moment it selects a course of action, a behavior, and it interacts with the world. And now it can take from the world whatever it needs, but eventually that doesn't work, because then the environment degrades and the environment will no longer provide whatever the agent needs. So the agent is also co-responsible for a high quality and a sustainable environment or habitat. So the same question arises here. Is the habitat improving or degrading? So let's couple that with the definition of agency. That was from Bariandan and Di Paolo. An agent is an autonomous organization that adaptively regulates its coupling with its environment and contributes to sustaining itself as a consequence. So this is here the key, but the key is associated with the options, the selection, whether it increases own viability of environmental viability. Here I have made another picture that is even more abstract and goes even more to the core. So now the key point is to maintain agent viability, but also habitat viability, and constantly thinking whether is my situation or that of the environment improving or degrading. When your own situation is problematic, then you typically go into a coping mode in which you protect your own viability. When the situation is fairly okay enough for you, you can contribute to the environment and environmental quality via co-creation strategies. So that means that life is about, well, avoiding death and co-creating a high viability environment or habitat. And it must do so by balancing, asserting yourself, which is energy intensive, or adapting to the situation, which is much more energy efficient. And if you look at this process, this is a process in which the complexity of behavior selection is an important issue. Some it's high and some it is low. The affordance content is also an issue. Sometimes you have many options and sometimes you have only few options. So that can all be connected to the full picture of core cognition. And now this, for the first time, it is kind of derived from first principles. So we have a situation in which we always try to optimize our own viability. So we always try to go in this direction and we try to avoid this. But life throws all kinds of things at us, so it is difficult enough. Then we can assert ourselves or we can adapt to the situation. This is the axis of complexity of behavior selection. So in a low complexity environment, you don't have to assert yourself. It is good, it's pleasant, it's viable. So you don't really have to do anything. But you can, of course, completely freely contribute to the quality of the environment. In this it's a high complexity environment. You have few options. Most of the options are actually leading to death or even more dangerous situations. So you have to make the proper decisions in order to end up here again. On this axis, you have here many options, or you are in a situation where you can, in theory, discover those options. And how do you discover the options, the affordance content of the world? Via play. And then you learn the opportunities of the world. And here you have very few options, and you have to be very, very careful not to do the wrong things. So this is kind of the picture of core cognition that is now derived from the core properties of life, and hence a core property of all of life. And it is also the basis of cognition and of cognitivity. And there is a definition from Di Paolo of cognitivity that a system is cognitive when its behavior is governed by the norms of the system's own continued existence and flourishing. So that is what we have been describing. This is what core cognition is all about. So continued existence is about surviving, coping, problem solving, and flourishing is about co-creating and pervasive optimization. And that is associated also with a measure of agentic success. So the more often you are in the co-creation mode, the more satisfied your needs are, the more you are thriving and the higher your cognitivity is. On the other hand, the more you are in the coping mode, you have more frequent unsatisfied needs and you're withering, and hence it is a sign of low cognitivity. Yeah, so the measure of success, of life success, is already encapsulated in this.